Welcome to the Huncho4U podcast, episode 2 up in here today. And today we're going to be talking about a variety of topics. First thing I want to get into today is the Nets, because the Nets have a new head coach and it's not who you thought it would be. It's Jacques Vaughn, which if you don't know who Jacques Vaughn is was the assistant coach of the Nets. He's been the assistant coach of the Nets for the past 6 or so years. And he fills the role for Steve Nash, who they parted ways over because Steve Nash couldn't control the team, and obviously there was a lot of stuff that happened during his 2 years there that he couldn't control. This comes as a shock for a lot of people because people thought the Nets were going to hire Ime Udoka, which was the former Celtics head coach, and which was somebody that I thought that should have been hired because Ime Udoka is a guy that led the Celtics to the finals last year, and you've seen how good of a defensive-oriented coach he is, and even an offensive one. You've seen what he did with, Tatum and Brown and Smart, and how he led that team. And he's a really good head coach, and I thought he would have, made the Nets a way better team. I'm not saying I don't respect Jacques Vaughn because I don't really know much about the guy. I know people say he's a very high IQ coach, but other than that, I don't know a lot about him. He's been assistant for a long time, but we'll see what Jacques Vaughn can do in Brooklyn because the Nets need some serious guidance right now, especially with Kyrie and the whole situation. I think they need somebody that can come in and lead them and be a good leader for them. And hopefully Jacques Vaughn is the guy for the job because the Nets need help. The next thing with Luka, because if y'all watched the Mavs this year, the Mavs have kind of an okay record. They're 6-4, and Luka's been putting them on his back. I mean, the guy has averaged 30 or more points in the first 9 games of the season. He's been the first dude to do that since Wilt Chamberlain in 1962. Yeah, 1962. That's fucking ages ago. And it's interesting to note here that Chamberlain was averaging 40 points a game while he was facing dudes that just got off of their duty of being a fireman. No disrespect towards Wilt Chamberlain, bro, but you were facing dudes that just got off of their fucking daily job of plumbing the toilets. This dude was averaging 40 rebounds a game, bro. I mean, I'm not throwing any disrespect towards Wilt Chamberlain, man, but you would not be averaging 50 points and 40 rebounds a game in today's era, bro. It just wouldn't be happening. But I'm not disrespecting Wilt in any way, man. You're a hell of a player. He's a legend. He's top 10 player all time. But come on, man. I mean, this dude wouldn't be averaging that today's era. I'm no disrespect whatsoever, Wilt, but come on now. Anyways, back to Luka. Luka is a interesting player. He's probably one of the best young players in the NBA right now. And it sucks to see him play for the Mavs because the Mavs don't want to put anybody around him at all. It's basically him and a bunch of damn shooters. Tim Hardaway Jr., Reggie Bullock. I mean, these are guys that you shouldn't be having these guys next to Luka, man. Luka needs some help. Y'all need to get him some fucking help. Let me say it. Be the first to say it. Get that man some help because he can't be averaging 35 a game and y'all have a 6-4 record, man. That's not gonna get y'all anywhere. And especially, it's not going to get y'all to the damn finals. That's for sure. You need a team like Boston. You see what Boston does. Boston has a lot of good young players and role players around them that can lead them to the finals like last year. And that's what the Mavs need. The Mavs need something like that to help get them to that next level. And, obviously, I think Jason Kidd needs to do that. He needs to coach them a little better, I think. Yeah, I think the Mavs need to get some more players because they're not doing anything right now. Let's go over the best young players in the league. Obviously, I said Luka. Jason Tatum, Ja Morant, Trae Young, Donovan Mitchell. All of those guys are the future of the NBA, and they really are. I mean, you look at what Ja Morant's done in Memphis. Obviously, they haven't really excelled in the playoffs yet. They would have last year, I thought, before Morant got injured in the series against Golden State. But you see what Ja Morant's doing on the floor. I mean, this dude reminds me of like a prime D Rose, except he shoots way better than D Rose ever has. And that dude right there is the future of Memphis, and they needed to build around him. And they have some good pieces around him. They have Desmond Bain. They have Steven Adams, which he is not really a scorer. We all know what Steven Adams does. Steven Adams is that offensive rebounder and dude that can play a little bit of defense, and he does his job. And the Grizzlies are doing really good right now. And John Morant's the future. And I mean, you look at Donovan Mitchell too. Donovan Mitchell, what he did in Utah while he was there. I mean, he went really deep in the playoffs pretty much every year he was there, except the last couple of years. And then he goes to a team like Cleveland, a really young team, and obviously you see he's excelling there. I mean, they have Darius Garland, which is a pretty good player if you watched him. Even Mobley. They have Caleb coming off the bench. Caleb coming off the damn bench. Imagine that shit. Um, so the Cavs are going to be a really good team in the next couple of years, or even this year, man. They got a really good young team. Trey Young's another one. I think Trey Young is a pretty good player. He was led Atlanta to the Eastern Conference Finals a couple of years ago, and you see the way he shoots and play makes the ball. I mean, this dude's he's legit, man. And they're gonna have to build a little bit more around him. I think they got DeJounte Murray this year, but in order for them to be a really deep threat in the East, they're gonna have to, you know, to build more around him. And I think pretty much the best young player that I don't think anybody can argue with this right now is Giannis. Giannis is probably the most dominant player we've ever seen in the NBA since probably Shaq. And I mean, one on one, when he's driving down the court, nobody's stopping Giannis. Giannis is that dominant of a player, and you've seen what he's done in the playoffs every year. I mean, nobody can stop him in the paint, and that's exactly what Shaq did. Shaq was that same dominant player that once you got him in the post, no, you better get the hell your ass up out of the way because nobody's touching him in the paint. And people need to find out how to construct defenses around him because Giannis will take your damn head off. And his one weakness is free throws, which he's getting better at that shit. So once he gets better at that, the league is screwed, man. And when he's pulling up for threes, that is gonna be a huge. That's gonna be a huge fucking hell no. Pulling up on offense is doing that. So Giannis is, in my opinion, probably the best young player the NBA has right now. And he's only like 26 years old, which is hard to believe because the dude's been in the league like I think he's 27 actually, but he's been in the league 10 years already. It doesn't even seem like that. And Giannis has a really, really bright future in the NBA. Obviously, you've seen what he did already. You're already a Finals MVP. He's already won a chip and plays for a pretty good team too. So Giannis is my number one on that list for sure. Um, let's see. I mean, I'm gonna get into the UFC because the UFC is I'm a big UFC fan. I have people that I know that watch it, and I kind of fell in love with the sport, man. It's not more entertaining than watching, two dudes get knocked out in the middle of the ring. And UFC 281 is on Saturday on ESPN Plus pay per view, and it's gonna be an entertaining one in my opinion. I mean, you got Ed Asanya in the main event versus Pereira. And if you don't know who Alex Pereira is, he's a guy that had kickboxed Adesanya apparently a couple of times, and he beat him both times. And so people think going into this fight that he's gonna have the upset odds, and it's kind of the complete opposite because this is the UFC. People fail to realize, and that the UFC is not about kickboxing. It's striking, it's takedowns, it's leg kick. It's all this shit that Adesanya excels at, and I think by the time the main event's over, you're gonna see Adesanya holding that belt up in the air and retaining that belt because that's how great of a fighter he is. Obviously, his fights are very boring, but he's gonna be the one that's gonna have the title at the end of the fight. The next fight, and this is probably my most favorite of the night, is probably the Dustin Poirier versus the Michael Chandler fight. These two guys are really fun to watch, especially Michael Chandler. I think you've seen what he did to Tony Ferguson. I mean, he knocked that motherfucker out cold. with the damn head kick, man. He kicked him like right on the inside of the jaw, which I mean he put him to sleep. And I mean he's had all his fights have been entertaining since he got into the UFC. I mean you've seen the Charles Oliveira fight. He knocked Oliveira down and he didn't finish him, and Oliveira came back and finished him. But I mean every fight that Michael Chandler has been in so far has been completely entertaining. And facing Dustin Poirier, which we all know how hard Dustin Poirier hits. You've seen what he did to McGregor. He completely, knocked him up in that second fight, knocked him out, comes back and, obviously he got the win for the third fight, which it wasn't really a win for him. Connor broke his leg, but you've seen what Dustin Poirier can do, and he's probably one of the best strikers, the best, striking boxers in the UFC. And when he hits you in the face, you're gonna get knocked out, and so it's gonna be interesting to see. Personally, I think Poirier will win the fight. So that's gonna be a really entertaining fight to watch. And I mean, the UFC, we have entertaining fights coming up all year. You look at the fights coming up on UFC 282. We have Jerry versus Teixeira again, number two. When we seen what happened in the first fight, that was probably one of the most entertaining fights that we've seen in the UFC, and it was a back and forth. And I personally thought that Teixeira was gonna win again, not win again. Not I thought he was gonna win the fight, and Jerry finished him there at the end, and so it's gonna be an entertaining second fight. Will be really entertaining to see what Teixeira can do to get his belt back, and um, I think that Jerry will probably win the fight again just because he has that momentum now. This dude's an absolute beast. Um, this dude, I mean, if you watch him fight, I mean, he's just so entertaining to watch, and I think Jerry will walk out with the belt, man. That's the bottom line to it. Um, that'll be the end of episode 2 for today. The if y'all want any more content, I have a TikTok page that y'all can go to. It has all my clips of everything that I post. Is tiktok.com/Huncho4U, and the U is just a U. It's no actually YOU. It's just a U. And I have clips on there of all the highlights that I show from on here, and it's entertaining, man. And the next episode I do will be more in depth over the UFC and the NFL. The NFL is very boring right now, so there's not a lot to cover. So that'll be that, man. I appreciate all the support, and I'll see y'all next time. Peace out.